functionality of the system that occurs in the laboratory and field, and or the collaboration with the user evaluates both design and implementation. So, an implementation that should be considered at all stages in the design of the life cycle. Evaluation also is, however, if it is such a process is used, we still need to assess our design and test our system to be ensured that they actually behave as we expect and met users' requirements. So, kailangan po din natin siya i-meet ang expectations sa mga users para ma-evaluate na to ang gusto na to maabot sa ato ang system. For example, nag-code ta. So, kailangan nandiyan natin, di ba, ang expectation sa mga user na kailangan kung sa itong expectation sa user na gihimo dito sa admin, ma-meet to niya. So, now, evaluation also should not be thought of a single phase in a design process. It's also still less as an activity. Ideally, evaluation should occur throughout the design life cycle with the results of the evaluation feeding back in the modification of the design is assisted constantly. So now, let's proceed the goals of evaluation. Goals of evaluation. Goals of evaluation. Now, there is also three main goals of evaluation. First is to assess the extent and accessibility. Second, to assist users' experience of the interaction. Last is identify as any specific problems. So, to assess the extent and accessibility of the system functionality is the system functionality is important in that it must also accord with the user's requirements. In other words, the design of the system should enable users to perform their intended task more easily. So, ang extent and accessibility daw, which is very important when it comes to designs, because kung unsay ay kailangan mong good kung mag-design ka, kailangan siya pag example, ibutan natin siya sa code. Di ba kung mag-design ta, expectation na to, nindot ka kung pag-design, pero pag debug na nato ato, di ba, nagkatibulaag ang uban. So, mo to siya isa ka expectation sa users, ay isa to siya sa admin na expectation nga maayo yung pagka-code, pero ang pag-debug na ato is lahi na siya ang lahi na ang kanang iyang code nga nabot, nagkatibulaag na. Next, users' experience of the interaction. In addition to evaluating the system design in terms of its functional capabilities, it is important to assess the user's experience of the interaction and its impact upon him. This includes considering aspects such as how easy the system is to learn, its usability, and the user's satisfaction with it. So, kailangan po dahil siya satisfaction sa users. Kaya naman kuyuban ka namin daw, sa imo lang siya masatisfied. Ang admin lang masatisfied. So, kailangan po siya satisfaction sa users para po classification. Say, after this, the classification of observational evaluation techniques. Fourth, we have classification of monitoring evaluation techniques. Last, we have choosing an evaluation method. So, these are the 5 types of evaluation techniques. So first, we will discuss this one, the evaluation through expert analysis. So, evaluation through expert analysis is the evaluation should occur throughout the design process. In particular, the first evaluation of the system should ideally be performed before any implementation work has started. If the design itself can be evaluated, expensive mistakes can be avoided. Since the designs can be altered prior to any major resources commitment. Typically, the later in the design process that an error is discovered, the more costly it is to put right, and therefore, the less likely it is to be rectified. However, it can be expensive to carry out user testing at the regularly intervals during the design process, and it can be difficult to get an accurate assessment of the experience of interruptions from the incomplete designs and prototypes. So, ang evaluation to expert analysis daw, kanina siya, it is a design process that an interior to discover more costly, it is a particular, less likely to rectify. These methods also can be used at any stage in the development process, from a design expectation through storyboards and prototypes to full implementation, making them flexible evaluation approaches.
540. Huh?
So, sa evaluation through expert analysis po napunin siya part ang cognitive walkthrough o ang heuristic evaluation of models and ang cognitive walk ay ang evaluation True. Ano pong cognitive walkthroughs? Nag-required po din siya og review of a sequence of action. Required din siya og review of a sequence of action. So, review of a sequence of action. In the code of walkthrough, the sequence represents a segment of the program code that is stepped through by the reviewers to check certain characteristics. For example, the coding style is adhered to convention for spelling variables versus procedures code. So, kailangan ko din isa og kanang for example, pag mag-program ta, di ba nag-code ta? Kung nalang kayo mali na spelling, parehas sa utang na to, atong variable is number. Numbers. Pero pag mali ka na itong spelling sa numbers, di ba mag-error siya? So, muna siya example sa review of a sequence of action. There is sa cognitive walkthrough. It is also usually the main focus of the cognitive walkthrough to establish how easy a system is to learn. So, dali lang po tayo na itong masabta na itong program. Kaya maka-identify man ta, kung di ba kung mag-debug ta, mailan na ito, siya nga, example, sa C++, mo red man dyan na siya. So, di na ito mailhan na naay sayop diri nga number. Di ba? More especially, the focus is to learning through exploration. Experience shows that many users prefer to learn how to use a system by exploring its functionally hands-on and not after sufficient training on examination of user manual. So, mas dali na dyan ito makahibalo kung kita'y nag-code. 4 things to consider. So, sa cognitive walkthrough, natay 4 things to consider. First is the specification of prototype of the system. So, it doesn't have to be complete, but it should be fairly detailed. Details has such that locations and wording for the amino can make a big difference. Second, a description of the task the users is to perform on the system. This should be a representative task that most users will want to do. Third is a complete written list of the action needed to complete the task with the proposed system. And the last is an indication of who the users or what kind of experience and knowledge the evaluation can assume about them. So, let's proceed the second type of evaluation techniques, which is the heuristic evaluation. So, by the way, the heuristic evaluation is a guideline or general principle of a rule of thumb that can be guide a design decision or be used to critique a decision that has already been made. So, usually the heuristic evaluation is the only criteria or guideline that we users or admin that can identify the design. It's also the design examined by the expert.
Okay guys, let's continue. So, we'll start with the heuristics, which is heuristics belongs to the first type of evaluation technique, which is the evaluation through expert analysis. So, these are the 10 heuristics. So, this heuristics means guidelines. So, 10 heuristics. So, the first is visibility of system status. So, visibility, which is means the the transparency, or it means the visual or the output of the system status. So meaning, of course, visibility in terms of the refining of the system status through in which the user may notice the system status, or in other terms visibility. Then the second is match between system and the real world. So of course, when we create a system, so it must be that there's a realistic one. So of course, if we make a system, so of course we should refer it to the real world. So number 3 is user control and freedom. So user control and freedom. So there will be an undo and redo in your system. So it should be that the user is free to access with all your commands, or with all the keys you're going to use, or with all the strategy the system can be used. So the fourth is consistency and standard. So standard, of course, your system will be based on the ISO, or International Standardized Organization. Then 5 is error prevention. So error prevention, so as what I have said in the second part, so error prevention in terms that the user can redo or undo. Error prevention. Then the 6 is recognition rather than recall, make objects, actions and options visible. The 7 is flexibility and efficiency of use. So flexibility, so it can be used to that, it can be used to any. So meaning it is flexible. And efficiency, of course, we should make sure that the system is functional. Then 8 is aesthetic and minimalist design. So we should consider the design of your system. So it should be that the color is friendly. Then number 9 is help users recognize or diagnose and recover from errors. So as what I have said, error prevention. So there's a lot of users, to help users to recognize or diagnose the errors. So number 10 is help and documentation. It should be that the program that you're going to design has and help. So naagi siya help dapat. So meaning it should be the listed it should be one of your criteria in building a program or a system. It should be that your system has a help and documentation. Then so let's go to the let's move forward to the third under the evaluation through expert analysis, which is the model based. So first is cognitive. So these are the types of these are the under the expert analysis. So model-based evaluation through expert analysis. So the third expert-based approach is the use of models. So certain cognitive and design models provide a means of combining design specification and evaluation into the same framework. So in this model-based, the design here is the combination of the cognitive and the design models. So similarly, lower level modeling techniques such as keystroke level model provide predictions of the time users will take to perform low-level physical tasks. So, as we observe, we are still experiencing model-based techniques in which we try to wait for an hour before the program or the system will be open. So we wait for couple of minutes to before the program will or an application will be open and so there will be a loading section. So in model based, so dialogue models can also be used to evaluate dialogue sequences for problems. So models, so mode or whatever term of it. So models, so including the dialog boxes. So the dialog boxes will tell you that everything you do in the system. So it will guide you also. Then the third is using previous studies. So using previous studies, experimental psychology and human-computer interaction between them possess a wealth of experimental results and empirical evidence. Some of this specific to a particular domain, but much deals with more generic issues and applies in a variety of situations. So, from the word using previous studies, so previous studies in terms of stock knowledge or what you have learned. So, these examples of such issues are usability of different menu types, so the recall of command names and the choice of icons. So these are the examples of using previous studies. A final approach to expert evaluation exploits this inheritance, using previous results as evidence to support. So using previous evidence or previous results as evidence to support or refute aspects of the design. So it is expensive to repeat experiments continually. So an expert review or relevant literature can avoid the need to do so. So expensive na kayo kung mabalik-balik ka og experiment. So kung dili pag isugana, so mangita lang dito lain pamaagi to provide or to come up in kanang more nga kanang kitang dool magid siya sa plano. So ingana. Then so the second type of evaluation technique is the evaluation through user participation. So user participation. So in this evaluation techniques, we have considered so far concentrate on evaluating a design or system through analysis by the designer or an expert evaluator rather than testing with actual users. So meaning, kasagaran, we are more focused on the design process. So for now, so we can evaluate our system through user participation. So it means that there will be a user participation or the actual users. However, useful as these techniques are for filtering and refining the design. So meaning, so the use of this technique is to refine whether to replenish or whatever types of mistakes you have made, so you can do it. You can correct it. So meaning there will be a correction here. So user participation in evaluation tends to occur in the later stages of development when there is at least a working prototype of the system in place. So meaning mahitabo lang siya kung na working prototype in place. So, these are the types of evaluation through user participation. So, through user participation. First is the styles of evaluation. So, of course, we have to consider, before we consider some of the techniques that are available for evaluation with users, we will distinguish between two distinct evaluation styles. Those performed under laboratory conditions and those conducted in a work environment or in the field. So, styles of evaluation. So, under this is styles. So, of course, the laboratory studies. So, laboratory studies, so commonly known as laboratory. So, when we say laboratory, so there will be an experimentation done in the system design. So, experiment. Then, the second one is field. So, when it comes to field, so the second style of evaluation is the designer or evaluator out into, so iyahang dalo ng iyahang work into the work environment in order to observe the system in action. So we will going to try to extend his work in the work environment or in which is the actual users. So, again, this approach has its pros and cons. So, naapuni siya ng mga positive o negative. So, high levels of ambient noise. So, greater levels of movement and constant interruption such as phone calls all make field observation difficult. However, the very open nature of the situation means that you will observe interactions between systems and between individuals. So, this is the advantage also. So, we're going to observe the interaction between systems, so systems and individuals or the user. So, the empirical methods, or this is also under the user participation. So, of course, in the second type of user participation, so of course the choice of participant is vital to the success of any experiment. So, we should consider also the participants. So meaning participation, so it includes participants. So in evaluation experiment, participants should be chosen to match the expected user population as closely as possible. So of course, we're going to choose a participant who has also knowledge about the system you're going to design. So we also have to consider the variables. So variables. So there are dependent variables. So those that are manipulated or changed. So dependent variables, and those that are measured. So dependent. Independent variables, those elements of the experiment that are manipulated to produce different conditions for comparison. So different conditions for comparison. Independent variables. So of course, we have also hypothesis. Hypothesis or a prediction of the outcome of the experiment. So this is clearly, if we're going to design a program, we should think of the outcome of the experiment also. We should also think the outcome of the design process or the design system. Next is experimental design. So an experimental is an error to produce a reliable and generalizable results. An experiment must be carefully designed. So experiment, so meaning it will be step-by-step design. So in cognitive walkthrough is also part. So we should also consider the cognitive walkthrough here. So we have already looked at a number of the factors that the experimenter must consider in the design, namely the participants, the independent and dependent variables, and the hypothesis. So these are the ingredients of the experiment. So the last is statistical measures. So statistical measures. The first two rules of statistical analysis are to look at the data and to save the data. So this is the first two rules of the statistical analysis. So look at the data and save the data. So of course, when we're going to make a program, it should be that if we're going to input the data, it should be that there is also a capability to save the data. So we're done on the empirical methods. So we're going now to observational techniques. So this is, don't forget that observational technique is also under user participation. So we're going now to observational. So observational techniques. So under observational techniques is a think aloud and cooperative evaluation. So think aloud is a form of observation where the user is asked to talk through what he is doing as he is being observed. So think aloud. For example, describing what the believes is happening, why he takes an action, what he is trying to do. Think aloud has the advantage of simplicity. It requires little expertise to perform. So think aloud. However, the information provided is often subjective and may be selective. So depending on the task provided, the process of observation can alter the way that people can perform tasks and so provided a biased view. So protocol analysis. So under observational techniques, the second is protocol analysis. So protocol analysis includes methods. So paper and pencil, audio recording, video recording. So these are the methods of protocol analysis. So paper and pencil, audio recording, video recording, computer logging, and user notebooks. So the third is of observational techniques is the automatic protocol analysis. So analyzing protocols, whether video, audio, or system log, is time-consuming and tedious by hand. It is made harder if there is more than one stream of data to synchronize. One solution to this problem is to provide automatic analysis tools to support the task. So in protocol analysis, they consider the methods which are used in gathering or whatever in making a system. But in the automatic analysis, protocol analysis, so it is even made simpler because it provides automatic analysis tools to support the task. So this offers a means of editing and annotating. So meaning automatic protocol analysis provides editing and annotating video, audio, and system logs and synchronizing this for data analysis. So the in this type of observational technique, so it has the integration of the protocol analysis. And then the last of observational technique is the post-task walkthrough. So post-task, so lately we tackled about cognitive walkthrough. So now we're going to tackle about the post-task walkthrough. So after the task walkthrough, so walkthrough attempts to alleviate these problems by reflecting the participants' action back to them after the event. So meaning we're going to go to analyze the system after it is being designed or after it is being made. So the transcript, whether written or recorded, is replayed to the participants. So transcript or whatever record you have you're going to play it again. That's the directed question by the analyst. So now under the user participation, we have query techniques. So the two forms of query techniques is the interview and questionnaire. So in an interview, so we also query. When we say query, this involves interviews and so interviewing users about their experience with an interactive system. So of course, if you're going to make a system, so we're going to interview also the user. Of course, we're talking about user participation, so we're going to interview the user of about their experience with an interactive system. So with your system. Then the second is questionnaires. So questionnaires, so we're going to provide questionnaires for them to fill or for them to answer. So there are styles of questionnaires. So general, open-ended, scalar, and RAM. So general, these are questions that help to establish the background of the user. So general. Then open-ended is ask the user to provide his own unprompted opinion on a question. So there will be no question provided, but instead the user will be asked to provide his own unprompted opinion. So unprompted opinion. Scalar is ask the user to judge a specific statement on a numeric scale. So there will be specification. Then the fourth is rank. So displays an ordering on items. So rank. So when we say rank, there will be list of or there will be list. So
Post.
fifth user participation evaluation technique is the evaluation through monitoring physiological responses. So physiological responses. So this involves the eye tracking for usability evaluation. So eye tracking has been possible for many years, but recent improvements in hardware and software have made it more viable as an approach to measuring usability. So eye tracking. So the original eye trackers required highly invasive procedures where eye caps were attached to the cornea under anesthetic. So meaning, so eye tracking, so it's going to be to use the eye tracking. Then physiological measurements, this includes changes of heart rate. So physiological, so heart rate, breathing, and skin secretions. So measuring this physiological responses may therefore be useful in determining a user's emotional response to an interface. So, in eye tracking, of course, when we're going to design a program, it should be that the program is user-friendly in the terms that the colors are mixed properly or evenly. There will be no heavy colors. It should be that light colors, so should be good for eyesight. Then physiological responses is of course it will affect our physiological responses also, which means the heart rate. So we should consider also the system that we're going to design. Factors distinguishing evaluation techniques. First is design versus implementation. The first factor to affect our choice of evaluation method is the stage in the design process at which evaluation is required. As we saw earlier in this chapter, it is desirable to include evaluation of some sort throughout the design process. The second is laboratory versus field studies. We have already discussed the pros and cons of these two styles. So laboratories allows controlled experimentation, observation while losing something of the naturalness of the user's environment. Field studies maintain the latter but do not allow control over user activity. Beyond for our topic, which is the evaluation techniques, chapter 9. So we hope that you learn a lot from our topic. Thank you.